When it comes to the UFC Bantamweight division and Henry Cejudo's Bantamweight title, there's a lot of guys in the Bantamweight division right now that really accurately fit the description of a title contender. Okay? And I feel like right now what's needed is some clarity. A lot of talk seem to be going in the direction of Jose Aldo. Some people are talking about Petr Yan potentially deserving a title shot. And I want to just go through some of the top contenders and give you guys who I think is the most logical choice for a title fight against Henry Cejudo. And I really like this exercise because this is very rare an occasion in the UFC where you've got so many options for a title fight that you don't know what to do with them. There are often divisions like the light heavyweight division where you're kind of all out of options and you're resorting to someone else to give them the title shot. It's a very good position to be in if you're Henry Cejudo, who's recently focused all of his attention on the UFC Bantamweight division. I want to go through some of the guys and I'm going to start in order of ranking. And I'm going to give you some pros and cons on why this guy could get the title shot and also why he couldn't. And we're going to start with Marlon Moraes. Probably the least likely to get a title shot right now. Reason being, Henry Cejudo's last fight was against Marlon Moraes. Beat him. We've seen that fight happen. Henry Cejudo beat the shit out of him in the second and third round. Yes, Marlon Moraes was doing well at the start, but I don't think you can sell an immediate rematch like that on Henry Cejudo's behalf. You don't defend against the same guy twice. So I think Marlon Moraes, and also with the decision win that he most likely lost against Jose Aldo. I thought he lost that fight against Jose Aldo. I feel like he's not going to get that title shot right now. So I think we're going to have to take Marlon Moraes, the top contender, out of the title shot talks. Which is a crazy thing. The number one guy in the division is not in the position to get a title shot right now. And that's a real unique situation. But I feel like a lot of people will agree with me that Marlon Moraes needs at least one more clear-cut win. One more clear-cut win. And then maybe we can see him get a title shot. But right now, he's a little bit in a bad position. And we're going to just move on to Aljamain Sterling. Another great contender for a title shot. This is one of the more serious contenders for a title shot right now, and one of the guys that I think is very likely to get his title shot. He's beat a lot of guys recently. He's beat Cody Stamann, he's beat Pedro Munoz, he beat Jimmy Rivera as well, I believe. I can't remember who else he's beaten, but he's beaten a lot of guys. Aljamain Sterling has beaten a lot of guys in that division, bar Marlon Moraes, who KO'd him with a weird knee to the head. It was a tough fight for him, but since then he's bounced back. And I feel like he has a lot of potential to get a title shot because the ranking supports my claim of him being number 2 in the world. His win streak supports my claim because he's beaten some damn good guys. Not to mention Pedro Munoz most recently, who was the guy that KO'd the former champion Cody Garbrandt. He has a real good claim for the title shot. I can see why the UFC wouldn't want to go with him though. And that's reason being inactivity and irrelevance. Not a lot of people know about Aljamain Sterling, and I'll tell you why, because he's not been the most active guy. And he's never been the most active guy, and I know he's had an injury recently, but that plays into things. If we haven't seen you, and you aren't fresh in the headlines, when we're thinking of guys for a title shot, Aljamain Sterling's name, and I've heard all of the conversations that people are having right now, it doesn't quite seem to have the oomph as some of these other guys do. Like you say Aljamain Sterling in terms of a title shot, it doesn't have the same power as if other guys, and I don't think enough people are saying his name for the title shot. By ranking, he's the most deserving contender. But when you look into things, the cons, he's been inactive, he's coming off of an injury. He fought a very long time ago at UFC 238, which is where Cejudo fought Moraes the first time that long ago. He's also lost to Marlon Moraes, who a lot of people don't even see as the number one contender anymore since his controversial win over Jose Aldo. They see Marlon Moraes as a little bit further down the rankings, and we've seen Sterling lose to him by KO. And Moraes has lost to Cejudo, so I don't know how you'd market that as a title fight just yet. Cejudo takes on Aljamain Sterling. How would you sell that? You've got to wonder how they're going to sell the promo. Henry Cejudo's last win was against Marlon Moraes, who has KO'd Aljamain Sterling. Now he's facing Aljamain Sterling. Doesn't sell for me. That doesn't have the hype and the intensity that I need right now. And I feel like Aljamain Sterling, very deserving, needs one more fight. And I feel like the perfect fight for him would be Marlon Moraes versus Aljamain Sterling in a rematch. Both guys in kind of shitty situations right now. Marlon Moraes coming off a controversial win over Jose Aldo, as I mentioned before. Marlon Moraes, Aljamain Sterling rematch. Potentially on the same card that Cejudo fights his next title fight on. But I don't think either of them have earned a title fight. And I don't think Aljamain Sterling is irrelevant enough to get that title fight. But if he beats Marlon Moraes, now we've got conversation. You beat Marlon Moraes. I recently lost to him, but guess what? Now I'm better. I beat the guy I lost to, and I beat the guy you beat, and I potentially, who knows how the fight goes, I potentially beat him more impressively than you did. Now we're talking title shots. If Aljamain Sterling can get past Marlon Moraes in good enough fashion, I feel like we're talking title shots for Aljamain Sterling, and that's a guarantee. But for right now, the guy I'm really considering getting a title shot, Petr Yan. He's number 3 in the division right now. He just slid above Corey Sandhagen. He's riding a big old win streak, including multiple wins over multiple names in the division, such as Jimmy Rivera. I'm seeing John Dodson as well right there. I'm seeing another guy that he's beaten in the division, Uriah Faber, who's now no longer ranked, but that was a big named win, and he's slowly been working his way through the division. He has wins over guys that you wouldn't even expect as well, like Dodson was signed to fight Nathaniel Wood, and I started thinking to myself, oh yeah, that's another guy that Petr Yan has beaten, who's in the rankings right now. And I feel like Petr Yan is the most likely out of the top guys in the division to earn himself a title shot. And I think that's the direction that the UFC is going to go in next. Petr Yan, Henry Cejudo. Yan's coming off... He's never been more relevant in his entire career. He's coming off a big, dominant performance over a big name in Uriah Faber. I feel like you've got to strike while the iron is hot. I believe that's the phrase that I'm using here. I feel like Petr Yan versus Henry Cejudo makes the most sense for me. In terms of dominance of performances, Yan is finishing guys, or he's beating the shit out of them, you know? He's coming forward, he's putting on impressive performances, he's a young, hungry, undefeated in the UFC challenger. We haven't seen him lose to anyone that we've seen Henry Cejudo beat. There's real conversation here. Who's going to stop this Russian madman? Is it going to be the Triple C, now Double C actually, we can't call him Triple C anymore. Is it going to be Double C? That's the promo I like to hear. I don't like to hear a promo of, this guy, he's got a really high voice, and he just won a controversial decision over Jose Aldo, and that's the title fight. I don't like the promo of, this guy, next up in line for the title, won a few fights in a row, but lost to the guy that the champion beat last in his recent performance. I don't like that either. What I do like the sound of in terms of a promo for a title fight, this young, up-and-coming, unstoppable force of a contender, a Russian madman, Petr Yan, speaks his mind, gets in backstage confrontations with Cody Garbrandt, knows how to work. You know, he knows how to say the right things, and it's not really shit-talking with him. He means what he says, and he goes out there and he proves it every single time. Who is the man who's going to prove this contender wrong? Here's the best in the world, Henry Cejudo. Can he do it? Can he stop the unstoppable force of Petr Yan? That's a promo I can get behind. That's a real good promo I can get behind. And it's also a case of, if we're looking at rankings, Marlon Moraes is number 1 and Petr Yan is number 3. If anyone were to pick Marlon Moraes over Petr Yan in a fight, I would disagree with them. And I feel like that holds some power as well. I feel like Petr Yan would beat the number 1 contender in Marlon Moraes. I really would, especially seeing as how Marlon Moraes doesn't like pressure. He doesn't like going backwards. He needs his own space to let his kicks go. And Petr Yan takes away every single part of Marlon Moraes' game and forces him into a fight that he doesn't like. Yan is the guy for me for a title shot. And not many people are talking about Jose Aldo, and I've seen that Henry Cejudo wants Jose Aldo. Dana White wants Jose Aldo. I don't want Jose Aldo. I really don't. I really don't want Jose Aldo, and I don't understand the argument for him. as much as I think he won the fight, and as much as you guys think that he won the fight, and the majority of the people that watched his fight with Marlon Moraes think that he won the fight, his hand was not raised. He has recently lost at featherweight. He moved down to escape that division because he didn't feel like he was ever going to win a title back there. And now he's coming down to bantamweight, and he's just lost there as well. Even if you think he's won, on his record right now, there is a loss next to his name in his most recent fight. And before that, in his fight before that, there was another loss to Alexander Volkanovski. You do not get a title shot riding 2 losses in a row when you have options around you in a division full of killers. I get the Yoel Romero situation. There isn't a clear-cut contender for the title right now that's highly enough ranked. Jared Cannonier's number 4. Darren Till's number 5. Only has 1 win in the division. Jared Cannonier's only beat a certain amount of guys in the division also. Beat Jack Hermansson. Is that a title elimination bout? They give it to Yoel Romero. He's coming off a loss. We need to fill cards. I understand that part of the game. But when we're talking about Cejudo, he's got options. And when you've got options, a guy coming off the loss is a bad option. And I don't see that selling either. I really don't see that selling, because not only did Aldo just win against Marlon Moraes, if he wins against Marlon Moraes, regardless of that fact, if you thought he won, he didn't do it nearly as impressive as Henry Cejudo did. How do you sell that one? We're giving Henry Cejudo, the guy that beat the guy that Cejudo beat last, less impressively than Cejudo beat them. He's an older guy. He's coming off 2 losses in a row now. He escaped a heavier weight class because he was losing there and he didn't see a chance of him getting his belt back. Came back down to bantamweight. Now coming off a technical loss. I don't see the argument for Jose Aldo, and I don't like this emotional decision from Dana White saying that Aldo should be treated as a winner. I don't like that because it disagrees with the sport fundamentally. I don't want to see Jose Aldo fight for the title next. I want to see Petr Yan. I can get behind that shit, man. I can really get behind that shit. And that would be an amazing fight, and I'm sure they would go back and forth because Yan can yap. Yan can talk some stuff back. Even if it's through a translator, he's going to say some things that are going to help sell this fight. And I feel like Petr Yan versus Henry Cejudo, that's what I want to see next. Then I want to see Aljamain Sterling versus Marlon Moraes on the same card. Then I want to see Jose Aldo versus Corey Sandhagen. That's what I want to see. And how the division goes after that, we'll have to wait and see. But I feel like the right name for the title fight, if I've broken this down correctly, is most certainly Petr Yan. He has the least cons against his name. He has the most pros for his name. And he's the highest ranked guy without an issue with competing for the belt. Petr Yan versus Henry Cejudo. I don't want to hear no talks of Jose Aldo. I don't want to hear no talks of Aljamain Sterling right now. He's got no relevance. He's got no hype behind him. He's got no recency bias in the eyes of the fans. Yan is the man. Sterling should fight Moraes. Sandhagen should fight Jose Aldo. The winner of Sandhagen versus Aldo should fight the winner of Sterling versus Moraes if it's Moraes. But if it's Sterling, give Sterling the next title shot. But if Moraes beats Sterling again, then give Moraes the winner of Sandhagen versus Aldo to decide the next title contender. Thank you for watching. Petr Yan deserved the title shot. Hopefully I've broken that down in some kind of depth. Like and subscribe. Click that button there. It's not that high up. Goodbye. See you later. Wow, I went for 14 fucking minutes. That's embarrassing. Hopefully you didn't fall asleep. But I feel like I made some good points. Goodbye.